Hey, what's going on, everybody? Let me get this adjusted. Hope everybody's doing well. It is Friday, so it's another Friday night live stream. And last week we just had a normal live stream. A couple weeks ago, or sometime before that, we had a topic, and I said I wanted to start doing more topic live streams. And tonight, if you saw the thumbnail, we're going to talk about shrimp tanks. And there is a reason why I picked this topic tonight, and we'll get into it. But I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you checked out Ohio Fish Rescue tonight. They had a pretty funny live stream. They were doing a hot chip challenge. It was fun to watch. It definitely kept me interested during the whole stream. I wasn't really chatting because I'm doing some things around the house that is fishy related, and I'll show you guys. We're going to take the camera and walk around and show you what's going on. Fish related news. I got something. This is a package ready to go out in the morning. This is going to Jason. He bought my 614 fertilizer, and the reason why I'm showing you this to you guys, he bought the last one. I am now out of stock on fertilizer. It has been a really good seller. I outsell the Thrive like 20 to 1. So for every 20 bottles of mine, I sell one of these, which is fantastic. So thank you guys so much for your support on that. Fertilizer is expensive to bring in, mainly because if a case of these is, I think there's 30 in a case. This stuff's heavy, so yeah, 30 to a box. Like one case is super expensive just in shipping. I think it's around $80 to get one case shipped in. It is made in the US of A, so that's another bonus. And it's just a really good product. And that's why I put my name on that product, because it is good. But anyways, I just want to say that was the last one. If you guys are subscribed to my email on 614fish.com, I sent out an email to everybody that the nano pumps are back and people are taking advantage. I only have green. I did try to get all the colors that are listed on the website, and green was the only one that they sent me. And the kits come with an Airstone air tube, and then they didn't come with a charger or the little power charger, so I include that with the air pumps, just so everybody knows. And looks like I got 7 or 8 of them left. So they're going quick, so if anybody's looking for a nano air pump, they are in stock. I have about 7 or 8 left. That's it for the website stuff. Let's talk about shrimp and what's going on with this topic. So shrimp is what got me seriously into a hobby. I had the 75-gallon tank set up with my blue Acara and the blue polar convict cichlids. No, Havana's trying to get in my lap. But it wasn't until I wanted shrimp, and that's when I did my first fish room build. There's a video way back on my channel of building the fish room. I'm sure it was boring, and I wasn't really good at making videos yet. But that was one of the first tanks I set up, was a red cherry shrimp tank. And we'll go check it out here in a little bit. I still have that tank, although I don't think there's any cherry shrimp in it anymore. That tank is now 2 years old, somewhere around there. It's super mature. Like the plants, it's a jungle now. Probably about a year ago, I was smart, luckily, and started splitting off my colony. Basically, I took out a dozen adults, put them in a different tank. Took a dozen adults, put them in a different tank. The original tank, a few months after that, something happened and it crashed to where the adults that were in it just weren't happy. I don't know what the water conditions were going on. Maybe they were low on calcium. Not exactly sure, but they kind of stopped producing. I know a few weeks ago when I checked, I did see like 1 shrimp in there. And for every one, maybe there's 5 that I don't see. But I know the other day I looked and I didn't see any. But it is very overgrown. It needs trimmed out. But I don't really mess with that tank because that's where my Valsinaria plants come from. So when you buy Val off the website, I pull it from that tank because the Val's just doing really good in that tank. So that's where I pull it from. So anyways, I was at the local fish wholesaler. It's been a few weeks now when I went and got those Denison redline barbs, the torpedo barbs, and I was talking to the owner's daughter, and she was asking what I do. Obviously, I'm buying wholesale fish, and I told her I sell online. I'm an e-commerce business, but I also breed shrimp and some guppies. And she kind of got interested when I mentioned I breed shrimp. So, long story short, they import shrimp, and their last 2 or 3 imports, they've had 100% casualty loss. Now, I think maybe one of them was everything was DOA in the box, and the others just didn't acclimate into our tap water, or there was some sort of issue and they lost their whole shipment. Now, wholesale on their cherry shrimp, and these are red cherry shrimp. So we're going to talk about kind of red cherry shrimp in general and how they're graded, because there's another thing I want to mention about Bloody Mary shrimp that I ran into the other week. But they just sell red cherry shrimp, so all that means is that it's a Neocaridina shrimp with some red in it. Most people online, when you go and you look for a red cherry shrimp, you're seeing a shrimp that's completely red. That's more of a painted, it could be a fire or a Sakura shrimp. But most people list those just as a red cherry shrimp. You see a shrimp, it's fully red, it's a red cherry. When in reality, it's a little bit higher up on the quality scale. You might go from a red cherry to a Sakura grade, to a painted, to a fire painted, and then you have different grades like A's, S's, double S, stuff like that. We won't go down that rabbit hole. But anyways, they have red cherry shrimp, so I'm assuming it's the wild type with some red in it. Wholesale price that they sell them at is just over $1 a piece. And I know from experience that if it's $1 a piece for a red cherry shrimp, it's probably a wild type with some red in it. But they're interested in me becoming a supplier for their business of what I'm breeding. The problem, I haven't talked details to them yet because I don't have the production that I need to be able to supply them weekly with shrimp. But this is kind of like almost a breeding for profit video maybe. But I don't have details, so I'm not going to call it a breeding for profit, because I don't know what the profit will be. Because I could sell them my culls, which would be what they are buying, but my cull rate for red cherry shrimp would be super low, just because with working with the lines, and culling out those red cherries and keeping the Sakuras and higher, I don't have that many wild type / red cherries to have to worry about. With this being said, I don't want to get off topic because my mind, I am going to be setting up more tanks to try to pump out more shrimp. I really want them. All they carry is red cherry shrimp. They're very old school with as far as what they stock. They supply Central Ohio and really, I think all Ohio, a lot of different mom and pop stores with fish and shrimp. They did have stingrays the other week, which was really cool. I haven't seen that yet there. Pricing was a little high, but they did have stingrays, and that was the first, and I thought that was pretty cool. But anyways, I want to try to see if I can get them into the Blue Dreams. So a long time ago, I bought from Lucas Brett's his Blue Dream A-Teams. So I still have some of those, and I lost a lot when the convicts months ago decided to start jumping tanks. And a convict got into that tank, and before I knew he was in that tank, my colony was pretty much wiped out. So I do have a few of Lucas Brett's left, but it's going to be a while before that colony bounces back. I do have a huge colony of Blue Dreams that I started from Flip Aquatics, which was way before COVID hit. So early this year, maybe January, February is when I brought in I don't know, a couple hundred from Flip Aquatics, and I still have that line going, and they're doing really, really, really well. I would really love this wholesaler to get on board with some blues, mainly because that line's going super strong for me, and blues in general always bring more money. It's a hot seller for me, and I think they're awesome. And here comes the dog. I don't know. You won't be able to see her. Oh, there she is. So I do want to set more tanks, and I'll probably do a video now that I'm a little bit more educated. I'm better with filming than I was 2 years ago when I started this channel, and set up a system. I'm going to do a full system just like my fry rack, but for shrimp. And what that's going to allow me to do is have a big volume of water, so I don't have parameter swings, and just let them be happy. And with the smaller tank size, I'll be able to cull a lot easier, because right now the main colony of the Blue Dreams are in a 55. It's insanely hard to try to cull out of it, and that tank is also overrun with dwarf aquarium lilies, which is why they're doing really well. There's a ton of surface area in that tank, but yeah, you're photobombing my stream. Do you know that? She's a good girl. But yeah, so I'll do a build on that and show how I'm going to do everything. One thing I learned off the fry rack is with my strainers, I did the 3D printed strainer inserts, and then when I put the rainbow fry in there, I ended up putting sponge filter inside the strainer to keep fry from going in. Works perfect. Problem is, it's a small section of sponge, and it clogs up super easily. So I want to avoid having the maintenance of having to pull the strainer out, pull the foam out, rinse it out, put it back together. So I think I'm going to do a 90-degree strainer, which is how my flow-through rack system works. It's 90-degree pipes, and there's nothing blocking what can go down in there. And the chances of shrimp going down in there is slim, but you know, it's possible. But it's going to run a sump, and I'll make sure that the sump is set up to where if shrimp get down into it, they can survive down there just fine. It'll be a new fun project, and I'm still debating on when to start that project and where. Obviously, I would love to have it in the garage, but the garage is not even forecast yet to when I'm starting on that whole project. So we'll see. I would really love to do it on this back wall. If you know, once I can consolidate all the products and get them in maybe into the other room, maybe I'll do a shrimp wall back here. The other thing I want to do, and I mentioned this before, is I want to go back to doing live streams from my actual computer. Right now we're on my phone, because I want to be able to show you guys what I see as far as like website stuff, so we can talk about, like right now I could put up a picture of some shrimp. I really want to get back into that. One of the things I found is when I use my webcam, the quality kind of sucks, and to really get maximum quality out of a camera to stream, my computer is just a little outdated. My computer is like 10 years old. I've upgraded it, you know, over the years, but I really need to do like a new computer build to really get into streaming more seriously. And so it might be a Christmas thing where for Christmas, maybe through family, I'll be like, hey, can I get some Amazon gift cards or something so I can try to build a new computer? Because I really want to do streaming on the desktop, so I can pump out higher quality video, because it's limited since I'm on Wi-Fi right now with the phone. So that's something I also want to do, is get back into that. Let's go take a walk, because I want to show you what I've been working on tonight. While Ohio Fish Rescue was doing their live stream, I was tinkering with the 3D printer. And I'll get into the chat. If you guys have any questions, don't forget to tag me, because it puts my name in orange bright letters so I can see the question. But let me walk around here. And I just started this 3D print maybe 10-15 minutes ago. So it's not going to look like much right now, right? So the printer's printing. Looks like a big ring. Texas Fish Room says you need Newegg gift cards. I used to use Newegg for a ton of stuff, and if you guys are into computers, there's a website called PC Part Picker. You can basically find whatever part you want, and it prices it online. It checks like Newegg, Amazon, Best Buy, all these websites, and gives you the best deal. Typically, Amazon's very close, if not better, than Newegg on pricing. So Amazon gift cards are just way easier for my family to do. And my birthday's next month, so I'm just gonna be like, hey, birthday, Christmas, if you guys are planning on getting me something, hit me up with the Amazon gift cards. But anyways, let me get back to this 3D print. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. What this is, which it doesn't look like anything right now, it's printing a rock formation. So it's kind of a long oval shape, and I have it set to not high detail. The actual 3D print looks like a rock. I mean, the crevices and highs and lows on it, I mean, it's crazy. To print it in that high of detail would take forever, so I told it to print it in like a lower quality. I just want the general shape. I think what I'm going to do is once it's done, I'm going to paint it gray. And the picture online, somebody like airbrushed it to where it looked, sorry, I'm putting you back in the holder. It looked like a real rock. It really did. With any rocks that you put into a scape, eventually they're going to grow some algae on them. It's just part of an ecosystem. So I'm not trying to get highly detailed. And what I'm doing with this little project is, if you guys follow Aquarium Co-op, you know that they have I think it's called the Easy Planter. It's kind of like a little faux rock with a hole that you put a plant in. I'm basically doing the same thing with a 3D printer. I'm printing this rock, and I wanted to edit it to have a hole in it for the plant, but the file was like so intricate that the program I used to edit stuff wouldn't open it. So I wanted to, in post-production, I'm going to take a hole saw and put a hole in it. It's hollow, which is cool, so that way roots can grow down and into the substrate if you have that. So post-production, I'm going to use the hole saw and put a hole. I could, I think, put 2 or if not 3 plants in it if I want to. I don't know if I'm going to do 2 or 3 plants. I'm really thinking Anubias with the rhizome, have the rhizome start growing out. And the reason I'm doing this is for my goldfish tank, the 75-gallon. It's got one Anubias in it that's been in there for years, and that's it. But that's the only plant that the goldfish don't destroy, is something with a rhizome, basically. So I'm going to try to put, I might try a crypt. I think if they can't uproot it, it might survive, but we'll see. So I might try putting a crypt in that tank, but it's just something I wanted to tinker with and see if I can build it. And I just like building stuff, so that's why I'm doing this route. And if I fail, I'll pick up some easy planners and go the easy way, right? But so that's what's 3D printing right now. Next up after that, let me see if I can show you guys. This is probably going to be a bad idea. I was going to maybe show you my computer screen with my phone. I don't know how well that's going to work. Yeah, this probably won't work. We're going to try it. Right now in this 3D software, I'm making like a Pleco. I called it the Pleco Apartment. A lot of people call them Pleco condos or something like that. So it's basically 8 Pleco caves I have printed as one unit. It's standing upright right now. It would lay on its side because I'm trying to group these brilliant bristlenose Plecos. They all love being in caves. They're every cave right now is filled. I'm trying to breed these suckers, and what I want to do is try to get them all closer together. So I'm going to print this apartment, as I'm calling it, off. So it's 8 caves, and they're all grouped together, and I'm going to see if they use it. I made it a little bit smaller. They fit fine in these caves, but I need it to where the males can definitely pin the female in the cave, so that way they breed. So when that rock gets done printing, I'm going to print this Pleco Cave off and give it a try, see how it works. And I'm just guesstimating the size. I use a micrometer and or digital caliper to kind of guesstimate the sizes I want on it, and I designed it from there. We'll give it a shot. It doesn't look pretty. It's just 4 stacked on 4. And if it works, that's all that matters. Is for a breeding project. But I'm gonna give it a try. And then I kind of feel like if it ends up working, I might redesign it to where it has maybe some channels to be able to glue some rhizome plants like Anubias or Java fern onto the top. So you're kind of doubling like some Pleco caves, but it's also a place to mount some plants. So kind of like a 2-for-1 deal. But I gotta see how this works, and hopefully it works well, because this is one of the projects that I want as far as a breeding project to really work out. The Barbados Cories, the fry are doing great. They're getting a little bit bigger. They're so tiny, but now they're getting to the point where it's easier to see them in that little tank. Those things just blend in so well with their surroundings. S said, do you cover one end for the Pleco Caves? Yeah, so I don't know how well this is showing up for you guys. I hope it's showing up okay, but I don't know if you guys can see in that. This would be the back side of the cave. It's blocked off, so they're not see-through, if that makes sense. But the back of it is blocked off. Not super deep, because watching some videos on YouTube, I've heard that some plecos don't like to go in caves if they can't see the back of it. Either way, I'm just trying to make it big enough so that they'll fit in, but not be too much bigger than that. So I'll give it a try, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it'll be great for shrimp. Shrimp will climb all over that, and yeah. So that's next. Back to shrimp tanks. How do I think, well, actually, let's pause, and I want to get into the chat, because I did see my name was tagged, so I want to see what everybody's doing. And I would go through all the names, but there's 39 people here right now, so to keep the chat moving along, I will not do the shout outs, but thank you all for being here. Texas Fish Room said, I'm working on a shrimp and guppy rack tomorrow. If you guys are not subscribed to Texas Fish Room, check out his channel. He's got a large fish room in the build stage going on. It's pretty sweet. Scrolling. Patty says, you men love the red cherry shrimp. That was my first love in the fish hobby. Patty said, that's why they're called convicts. They're lawless. It's true. Von Yinzer says, Matten filter, some of the channels I watch swear by them for shrimp tanks. Yes. I still swear by them myself for shrimp tanks, for sure. So, a Matten filter, God, that's a big filter. I just shipped out a couple of them today. I still personally believe Matten filters are the best, and here's why. If you don't use a Matten filter, use a sponge filter. Sponge filters collect all the fine particles in the water, whether it's food, detritus, whatever. Shrimp constantly are grazing on sponge filters. A Matten filter is just a big sponge filter. It's the same material, but it's the whole height and width of a tank. So the surface area is extremely larger than what you would get out of a round sponge filter. So surface area is huge, filtration is huge. That's a big area to have mechanical filtration and biological filtration. The other thing is, if you're running overflows, if you're on a rack system, which is what my tanks are on, it blocks the overflow from the shrimp getting to it. So it's kind of like a multiple great thing in one. It's an overflow strainer in a way, massive filtration, massive food source. Shrimp are always on Matten filters, and we'll take a look at that. If I get serious with trying to do a shrimp farm or breeding project, it will be Matten filter based for sure. I always have really good luck with Matten filters as far as shrimp goes. You could use it for fish too. It's the same principle. Huge surface area for filtration. The fish may pick at it to get any kind of like little food particles, but really it's like the best for shrimp. That's my opinion, and I strongly stand behind that. But yeah. So I do swear by them. Would love to see more pictures of the Blue Dreams. I also live in Seabus. My tank is currently cycling, but very interested in buying from you. Yeah, we'll walk out to the fish room and I'll see if we can get some of them on video. I fed them earlier and they were out, so hopefully they're still out. Von Yinzer, that was me that scored the last bottle of fertilizer. Thanks, man. Can't wait to give it a go. Well, thanks, Von Yinzer. Von Yinzer, that's not your real name. I thought that was your real name. So, it's packaged, ready to go, and I'll drop it off at the post office in the morning. So, hopefully with Saturday, I mean, the post is still moving, so I think it's 2-day. It's 2-day shipping, so it'd be sweet if you get it Monday. If not, it should be there by Tuesday. But yeah, thanks for that order, bud. Do you cover? Yep, I mentioned that. Shelly fish that sponge and matin filters are great for shrimp. Yes, like I just said, they are super awesome. Hang on the backs, and unless you have a sponge filter on the intake, don't use a hang on the back because shrimplets are tiny, absolutely tiny, and they will go through really fine strainers. So you have to have a sponge filter on the intake of a hang on back or like a canister filter. They do not require a lot of flow in their tank. So really a sponge filter is the way to go, if not a matin filter. Von Yinzer said, would have added a note to the order, but there was no place for it. There should be, because I've had people add notes all the time. I think Chevy Fish has added notes to orders, and I Hate Stupid People. Yeah, there should be somewhere a spot for a comment or a note. But let's walk out to the fish room. But yeah. So, I don't have any shrimp out. Well, I don't know if we'll be able to see any. I was going to say I don't have any shrimp out here, but that's a lie, because in this tank there's a mono shrimp. But I don't think, and it looks like crap because I don't clean tanks. I let them go all natural. But the mono shrimp, they're kind of clear, so they're hard to find. But they're in there somewhere. But let's walk out. Matin filter. This is a blank. But yep, matin filters. All right, so in the fish room. Oh, looks like a dog knocked over one of my lids. I'm gonna flip you around. Doo-doo. So this was the very first rack I ever made. It was for this tank down here. This is what I call the OG shrimp tank, because this was my first shrimp tank. And I don't really do anything with it. I don't fertilize it. It just gets fed some food. You can see some food in there from earlier. And it is a matin filter, and it's got moss growing all over the outlet. You can see the water flow right there. But yeah, so it started off as a rock pile. So I use lava rock because it's super cheap. Super cheap. Made a rock pile, and this was all sand before it got overgrown with the Valsinaria, and this is the Christmas moss. I am running a special on this, guys, because as you can see, it's just growing like crazy in my tanks right now. But I don't see any shrimp in here anymore, which is kind of disappointing. You know, I should probably put some in here and get a colony going again. But yeah, so The main reason I did it is because I knew that shrimp do really, really well with batten filters. But here's my overflows. And the water level is low because with the dehumidifier, it really is sucking the water out of all these tanks. But it keeps the shrimp from hitting the overflow. So that's one of the main reasons. So these are LRB's coal shrimp that I bought a long time ago. And you can see them, they're on the batten filter. They just hang out there. So where's my finger? You know, there's one, there's one, there's one. You know, there's a red really up there. But I'm trying to see, you know, with the coals, it's kind of, there's some in the rocks. But they do love the batten filter. And, you know, all these tanks have batten filters. That tank's empty. That's just got some plants that's converting over to cell. Sorry, the lights are going off. But even the tanks with fish have batten filters in the back. Because I'm using those to block the overflows to keep the small fish, like these Phoenix rasboras, they're tiny. So that keeps them from hitting the overflow. And I don't have to worry about the overflows clogging up. I used to have these strainers on all these overflows. These are 3D printed ones. They clog like every few weeks with like plant material or it's really mainly plant material. So I just took them off and the water just goes down and the fish stay out of it. So let's try not to make you dizzy. And I always like look not at my phone when I'm recording, so hopefully I keep everything in perspective. This is one of the Blue Dream tanks. I gotta sit down on the ground because this is on the floor. And there's a Blue Dream. Anyways, there's one swimming. They like being lily pads. And this lily, well, not this lily pad, but this lily plant needs trimmed back, you know, pretty heavily. Basically what happens is it grows and it shoots runners up and out of the water. Once they get out of the water, they die. It melts back and then it shoots more runners. But the shrimp just love being in all of this. And here's the Christmas moss. Like I said, it's on sale. You know, this thing's huge. It's like 2 or 3 basketballs in size. And, you know, the shrimp love being in it. I can only imagine how many babies are in there. But it just... This thing's fun to watch because it's... You think there's not many in there, and then you start looking, and you start seeing them swimming all over the place. And this has one sponge filter in there, which is barely running. Barely running. I've yet to even clean that. I started with a rock pile down there, a lava rock pile, and there's actually a lava rock pile underneath this moss, but you would never know. But I just kind of let the lily pads die off, and the shrimp kind of eat on it. Sometimes when you flip these, there'll be shrimp on the bottom. Not seeing any right now, of course. Oh, there went one. But yeah, it's worked out really well. And there's shrimp in this. This is my indoor pond that I built. That's really a duckweed farm. This duckweed basically just feeds the goldfish inside. Water level is really low, but there's actually shrimp in here. So I really need to fill this thing up, strain all the duckweed out of it, and see what shrimp have come out. It started off as orange shrimp, pumpkin shrimp. I don't know, you know, what's in there. There could be orange Rileys and, you know, probably wild types, but who knows. Flip you guys back around. And now, as far as, let's talk about shrimp food. Ooh, is this full? It's empty. So calcium. So shrimp need calcium. I do supplement calcium. I keep it in this little jar, which is empty, but I can show you what that's for. So I feed mainly, pretty much everything in my house gets fed tetracolor tropical granules, because I feed so many tanks that it's a very cost-effective way to feed them. And I don't know if I made a video on this before. Eggshells. So these are chopped up. So when you make eggs for breakfast, I keep the shells. So whenever I crack an egg, I just put the shell back in the box. And once I get a dozen eggshells, I clean them. I use Dawn dish soap. I wash them thoroughly, clean them, and then I just basically kind of grind them up in my hands to get them a smaller size. And then I end up putting them into a coffee bean grinder. It basically grinds it into a powder, and I put in that little jar. Putting you guys back in the little mount. Into a powder slash like fine, like think of like fish fry food, like that size is what I target. And then I just dump some into the water. So eventually it will dissolve over time. It helps raise up some of the hardness in the water. But I feel like I have this on video. If I don't, I need to get on video. You can actually see the shrimp like grabbing the little particles of calcium to munch on it. So that's something I do on any tank that has shrimp, and then it's great for snails. I've been really bad about dosing calcium to snail tanks, and you'll see that with like my ram's horns. There'll be some tanks where like the parameters are great, they look awesome, and there's some where you can see might be lacking calcium because their shells start turning white. If you have really soft water with no minerals, you can actually have your snail's shells like disintegrate because the water is taking the calcium or the hardness from their shells. It's like a science thing. I'm not the science guy, but so I use eggshells. It's one of those things where I would throw away, and before anybody says anything about eggshells in a tank, I've been doing it literally for like a year and a half. Never have had an issue. I do wash them, and then I dry them, and then I grind them. But I've been doing it for like a year and a half, no issues, and I know it works because I see the shrimp like eating on it. So that's just to help with them molting, because as the shrimp grow, they shed their skin. Now you could have shrimp that have issues shedding or molting because of a lack of calcium in the water. So that's something I do. I don't have soft water, but I just, as peace of mind, I add it anyways. Von User says, does the eggshell trick work with snails? Yes, it does. Chevy Fish has been using them for years. Yeah, I'm sure I saw it on a video somewhere a long time ago, and that's where I got the idea. It was not an original thought of mine. That's for sure. Okay, I think I'm at the bottom of the chat. Von User said, a couple of my snails show a bit of rough shell calcium issues. This was a great idea to help them out. If you eat eggs, it's a free thing you can do. I just have a coffee grinder, and that's how I grind it into fine powder. I've never tried a regular blender, but if you guys don't have any of that, you can probably grind it up pretty smooth in your hand, or put it on a cutting board and take a hammer or something and kind of like grind it up. But if you got a coffee grinder, it works perfect. And but yeah, Aquarium Domain said, caught the stream the past week and think you said you're not moving. Is the 2000 tank back on? Yes and no. I'm not moving right now. Is the 2000 back on? Yes. Right now, is it back on? No. So I'm not going to do the 2000 until the garage is converted to a fish room. When that's going to happen, I don't know. I'm guessing this winter, once all the outdoor activities is done, which is getting pretty close to that now. It's getting pretty cold, although it has been warm this week, so I'm a liar. But so this winter will be that. It's going to be, I don't want to say costly, but it's not going to be cheap to rip all the drywall out and do the plastic paneling that I want to do with new insulation, because the walls aren't insulated. But it'll be a project, and I will get it done sometime this winter. Once the garage is converted to a fish room, then it will be time to build a 2000. And I think when I was at Ohio Fish Rescue, somebody asked me what is a dream fish. I don't know if it was somebody at Ohio Fish Rescue, if it was in one of their videos, but a fish that I want, that I've been thinking more and more about lately, is I really want to get some stingrays. Like, what, considering monster fish, none of the monster fish, like being at Ohio Fish Rescue, none of them really grab my attention as do the stingrays. And so I think it's something I want to try. And honestly, it'd be sweet to get into breeding them, but you have to have, you know, mature adults, and that could be expensive. So I might end up starting with some babies, but I think it'd be cool to have some stingrays. With that being said, I don't have a tank for stingray. I know they need some surface area. And Off the Deep End Aquatics mentioned that he suggested a minimum footprint for a stingray would be 4 foot by 8 foot. So now that I have experience building a wooden pond, which is what all that duckweed was, that's a wooden pond, it's plywood. I think I might try to do a plywood build, 4 foot by 8 foot, by possibly 4 feet deep, and do a stingray pond, basically. It'd be cool to have a window in it to be able to see them, but minimum, I can at least get a holding tank for them. But once again, the garage needs to be done for that. So we'll see. But I do want to do a stingray tank, and I thought, man, it'd be cool if I can somehow take the 2000 build and, like, obviously that's going to be a planted community tank of small fish, nano fish, stuff like that. Can't put stingrays in there because it would destroy the planted scape. But I'm thinking maybe I do twin tanks and have them share a water supply. And because stingrays are messy eaters, so if they're pumping out a lot of waste, a planted tank would be perfect to help absorb those nitrates. So if I can combine, like, two passions, like, I really want these stingrays, but I really want this planted community tank. What if I have a 2,000 gallon tank? And like I said, it might end up being bigger than that. It might end up being like 2,500 gallons, maybe 3,000. I don't know on the size of it yet. That's still up in the air. Minimum is going to be 2,000. But what if I have a 2,000 and then, like, next to it's a 1,000 for stingrays with combined filtration, not combined tanks. I don't want nano fish getting into the stingray tank and vice versa, but make it like a 3,000 gallon system. I think that'd be really cool, be really beneficial. Especially, like, so if you're feeding fish, or not fish, but stingrays, let's say you're doing shrimp. Well, shrimp can be messy in water. You get those little particles. Well, if I have that water going into a planted tank with nano fish, that's like a whole extra food source for them. So, like, the gears were turning of some ideas I had of how that twin tank setup could be really, what's the word? Like mesh really well. Like plant tank, nitrate helps with nitrates, but also food particles from the stingrays being messy, getting into that tank. So I don't know. So many ideas. And did I tell you guys about the plasma cutter? I don't know if I ever told you guys about the plasma cutter. So a guy at work bought a new plasma cutter for his house. He's got a shop at his house. He had this old school, like old school plasma cutter. If you don't know what a plasma cutter is, it's basically a torch that, like, cuts metal. It's not noisy. It runs off of compressed air and electric. So like when you're cutting steel, you think of like a circular saw or like a cutoff wheel. Well, this is just a torch, and you take it against the metal and basically burns a hole in it, and uses compressed air to blow it out, and it cuts right through it. Super awesome. They're not necessarily cheap, but he gave me his old one. He said it works. He said the problem is it's so old school you can't get replacement parts for it. He has some replacement parts because the tips that like do the cutting, eventually you have to replace them. The plasma tips, whatever. I don't know the science behind it. It's plasma. It basically melts the metal, and the compressed air blows the melted metal out. Anyways, he said, I got some spare tips. They're called consumables. He's like, I got some spare consumables for it, but it's really impossible to find these. And when you do find them, people know that they don't make them anymore, so they're stupid expensive. So what I'm going to do is basically take the torch, which if you know, like if you saw the videos of me welding, how I have the welding torch, think of that where it's like the hose with like the little gun. Plasma cutter is like the same thing. Well, you can buy just the cable and torch on eBay for some generic brand for not that expensive. So I think what I'm going to do is retrofit a newer cable onto this older plasma machine. That way I can buy the consumables easily. And I think I might do a video of like, I don't want to say restoring it because it's not broken, but like the cable on it's all like falling apart, like the rubber's all dry rotted and it's crumbling. It looks dirty, so I might do like a little video of like restoring it. If you guys know that over the summer I did a video of like bed lining a truck, and that was at the farm that my friends own. That's like my #1 video right now. At least for the last 28 days, it's been at the #1 spot as far as views all month long. So I still kind of want to do these other random like non-fish videos because I enjoy this stuff and still uploading. If you guys aren't into that kind of stuff, you don't have to watch it, but obviously I'm bringing in other people to my channel, which is what I want to do in the long run. But this is kind of fish related because I'm going to use, I know it's got a little crazy on this, but I want to use the plasma cutter to build the frame for this 2,000 gallon. It's not necessarily faster than using like a chop saw or a cutoff wheel. It's just less messy and a lot less quieter. So that'll be another video. It's the plasma cutter's been sitting at my work. I just need time to do it. My Civic project that was in the garage, and I sold it when I thought I was buying a house. I actually bought it back. So I sold it to a coworker. He blew the engine up the next day, sold it to another coworker. He fixed the engine, but it's not really fixed. It's like 80% fixed. And then I bought it off him. I sold it, and then I bought it back for half of the price that I sold it for. But I'm going into work tomorrow to finish the Civic. The main thing with the Civic was it needed like some body panels put back on it and painted. Well, the body panels are back on. I did that last week and Wednesday night. And tomorrow I'm going to paint it, and I'm done with the Civic. And I can drive it to and from work instead of driving the truck every day. And maybe next year I'll get back into road racing with it. But Civic's done, so now I can do, well, almost done. And then I can do the plasma cutter, and then it's garage time. The garage is going to be a lot of work. But Josh already said he'll come down and help me with whatever projects I got that I need help with. The garage is really, like, help-wise, it would just, I don't need physical help to do stuff. It would just to speed stuff up. It's a one-man job, but with 2 people or 3 people, it just goes quicker. It's not like I'm trying to move a boulder like they do at OFR and move tanks where you have to have multiple people. This is easy stuff. Tearing down drywall, not that hard. Doing electrical work is not that hard. Putting the new plastic wall up, super quick because you don't have to mud it, you don't have to paint it. You just bolt it up to the wall and good to go. Show You Fish, posted a link to the online store, 614fish.com. I do want to mention to you guys, I I did do a video on it. The Carib Sea sand and the Estes natural pebbles are on sale until this Sunday. The sale ends at 11:30 p.m. People have been buying the sand, so that's awesome. I'm doing that as like a Black Friday month, or whatever you want to call it, Cyber Month sale. So when that sale's up on Sunday, I'll probably start a new sale on Monday of something else. And I already got some ideas of what I want to put on sale. So keep your eye out for that. And then I think what I'm going to do is this like weekly sale of a certain product or product group. And then I think like for tradition, for Black Friday or Cyber Monday, it'll probably be Cyber Monday, I'll do a different sale specific on that day. But that's kind of, I don't know, I kind of find that stuff fun, doing like discounts and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. But so make sure you're subscribed to the email to get those discount codes. The substrate code is substrate. One word, substrate. And it's 15% off of the Carib Sea sands. So I think there's 4 different ones on there. And then the gravel. The Fluval stratum is not on that substrate sale because it's already on sale, and there's not the profit margin to be able to take 15% off of it. I would lose money by the time I ship it for sure. All right, let's see what's going on in the chat. Sherry Fish says, I use net breeders as duckweed corrals. Works great. So the idea I had, because there's a ton of duckweed in that tank. The idea I had was to put an overflow in that tank and then just do water top-offs. As the water rises, it all goes towards the overflow. Duckweed goes out. And then just put a net through the drop, and then it can catch it. The problem with duckweed is you can get it all out, and then one little piece will be somewhere that you don't see, and a week later, you got duckweed again. For that reason, I hate duckweed, but duckweed is so good for so many different reasons. It's awesome at pulling nitrates. It grows so quickly, it's consuming nitrates to grow. It also helps with shrimp tanks. The shrimp will be on the bottom side of the duckweed grazing. It gives fish cover so they feel protected, which can help with breeding. So if you got some fish that are a little cautious on breeding, if you have duckweed, put some in there. I understand why people hate duckweed. I really hated duckweed when I first got it because it was a pain in the butt to clean. And then I realized it's just another part of an ecosystem. So it doesn't bother me as much, but would I rather not have it? Yes. But it's just one of those things where it is what it is, and it's doing its part in my whole fish room, I guess. Fish and Floral said, I've been trying to buy more floaters and would love some duckweed. Place an order online, and so I've heard duckweed doesn't ship very well. I've never have tried to ship duckweed, but if you ever place an order online, put a comment in the order, and I'll put some duckweed in there. Maybe I'll try to ship it 2 different ways. So I don't know if you like ship it in water, or if you just scoop a bunch out with a net, put it in a bag, keep it moist. And I don't know the best way to ship duckweed, but I'll give you some for free. Just if you place an order, put a note, I'd like some duckweed. I'll give you some. That's no problem. That's for anybody. If anybody wants duckweed and you're ordering some plants, just put a comment, duckweed, please, and I'll give you some duckweed. Goldfish love to eat it. Yes, they do. I put duckweed on purpose in my 75 for the goldfish to eat, and I can load them up. So the axolotl tank's got duckweed, and that is for A, shade, because axolotls don't like a bunch of light, and 2, for nitrates, to help keep nitrates low. But with duckweed in any of my tanks, eventually it grows way too much. It gets to the point where the sponge filters from bubbling up, there's always a hole where the bubbles are, right? It pushes the duckweed out of the way. Well, it ends up the duckweed kind of gets pushed under itself and under itself. There'll be times where the duckweed's like this thick and it's built up. So I take my net, scoop out as much duckweed as I can, and I just dump it into my 75. It'll cover the tank so much that the water looks really, really green because the light's trying to shine through that duckweed. Duckweed's green. It makes the water look tinted. And it'll be like that for a couple weeks, but after a couple weeks, the goldfish have eaten all the duckweed. But it's a free food source for sure. Yeah, so I've heard, I think Corey said his yellow labs were eating duckweed. So I don't know as far as what cichlids will eat duckweed. Maybe they all do, I don't know. I know that my cichlids always destroyed my plants, so maybe they like duckweed. But if anybody has experience with cichlids and duckweed, let me know, because I like to put that in the information vault. Big Tank Hank, what's going on, man? How hard is it to take care of guppies? Guppies are super easy, as long as they don't get like an internal parasite, because the worst part about guppies is if they get internal parasite, get some sort of like tapeworm, or any kind of worms in general. If one gets it, they all get it. And the reason why that is, let's say one guppy, you got a tank of 50 of them. They're all doing great. One guppy gets sick, and you don't catch it, or you don't notice it, or it takes a while for it to show. It's pooping out worms or eggs or however that works, and then it goes down to your substrate. Guppies are what I consider a dirty eater. They'll eat anything in your tank. If it's on a leaf, if it's floating, if it's in the gravel, they just eat. Well, what they're doing is they're eating those eggs or worms or whatever, and then that gets it, and it just kind of works its way around the community. And I can tell you, because I've had to deal with this, the easiest way to know if your guppy tank has that issue is you'll start getting guppies that are basically losing weight. And one of the first signs I notice is if a guppy normally is flat, swimming through water, it's kind of like its back end drops a little bit. Not that it's like curved, but it's like curved. And instead of being nice and flat, horizontal, the back starts to curve a little bit. And then they usually don't swim a lot. Sometimes they'll lay, like I had a rock, it was laying on top, and you're like, why is this fish snoozing on this rock when all the other ones are going crazy? That's a sign. It can be grouped in with live bear's disease. But at that point, you need to start treating immediately for internal parasites. And you can't just treat, you also have to do some dirty work. And by dirty work is gravel vacuuming. If you ever have something that's an outbreak in a tank, water changes and gravel vacs. Gravel vacs gets any kind of eggs, parasites out of the gravel so the fish don't eat it. But other than that, as long as you don't have that, and I've only ever had that happen to me once, other than that, no issues. They're prolific. As long as they're happy, they're going to breed, and you're going to have a ton of babies. And yeah, we can walk out and look at one of my guppy tanks. Let's go look. I think the lights are off. Why are my lights off? That light's not off. Oh, daylight savings time. I bet I need to correct the timers. Well, they should have No, that light's off. Okay, so it's daylight savings time. My timers need reset. So I'm going to flip you around. I just realized my lights all turn off at 10 o'clock. So here's one of the guppy tanks. So this was a blue tuxedo. You can see the males are blue. Blue and black. Females are kind of boring. Some of them get some color. Now this is going to be kind of hard to show because the lights are off. So this was a green cobra tank. Oh, there's the awesome male. So I don't know how it's showing up on a tank. On my phone, this water looks really brownish yellow, but in person it's not. This guy right here is one of my crosses. So this was a green cobra. So it's a green fish with a cobra pattern. And I took a male I took a female of these blue tuxedos. So it's this like real vibrant blue. And I crossed them. So here's the female, the blue. There's the one right there. I hope it's coming out as vibrant as these guys. They really are vibrant. Well, it made this guy. So, like, his dorsal fin is this bright blue streamer. Where'd he go? Right there. And then he gets the cobra pattern in the tail. So if you guys see, focus, these guys don't have any patterns. No patterns at all. They're black bodies with blue. Well, I crossed them to get the blue. I didn't know it was going to do this blue fin. I just crossed them to see what would happen. And it gave me a cobra tail, black tuxedo body with the blue fin. So that's a line I'm working with, and I'm really excited because I really like it. Because this blue, like in person, guys, it's super blue. And his body, I don't know if you guys can see it, it's very metallic-y. It's very shiny. It's got some cobra pattern in it. And like you can see it tried to do the black body of the tuxedo. But yeah. It's just super awesome. But these guys, I mean, there's hundreds in this tank. You probably can't see it right now because the lights are off, but they're prolific. And these females, I mean, these guys are big. So they're probably dropping. So as the females get older, they get bigger, they drop more and more fry. I think the first group I had drop fry, it was probably somewhere in the high 20s, like 27, 28 fry. My biggest female will drop like 90s. I don't know if I've broken like 100, but I've had up into the 90s. Now my tequila sunrise, which are out in the pond, those females in the tank I just showed you are huge. The tequila sunrise, when they're outdoors in the summer, they're twice as big. And my buddy Mike, I don't think I saw his name in here tonight. He's been here and he's seen them in person, and they are massive. They look like they must be like a hybrid of a bluegill and a guppy. Like they really do get massive outdoors here for that live mosquito larvae. Just does wonders. When they're that big, I'm sure they're pumping out. Sorry, putting you back in the holder. I'm sure they're pumping out at least 100 to 150 fry, and they can be doing that once a month, basically. And then with that live food, they can recover really quickly after giving birth, and that's huge because that's going to take a lot out of them. Am I crooked? I feel like I'm crooked. Anyways, maybe I'm not. Wow, it's 9:30 already, guys. So I guess I like having a topic because it keeps me moving. So I guess shrimp tanks, it's going to be a thing again. I got to work on it. I got to pull some of those blue dreams out. The problem is you saw with that 55 with all that vegetation in there, it's hard to cull. And with that moss, I really let that moss get way too big because the shrimp are all up in that, and it's impossible to catch them out of the moss. I had to catch them on the bottom of the lily pads or while they're free swimming. When I do the shrimp rack, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be smaller tanks, so it's easier to catch them, easier to see them, easier to call them. And maybe with the wholesaler, I'll be like, look, here's blue dreams. I want this much. You could sell them wholesale this cost. They could retail this cost, right? With the red cherries, I can give you my red cherry culls for this much. If you want some Sakuras, this much. Oh, Bloody Marys. I mentioned this quickly earlier about Bloody Marys. I saw somebody, I don't know if it was local or just, I think it was the local form, selling Bloody Mary shrimp. And I saw a picture. Their picture kind of sucked. I looked at it. I'm like, those don't look like Bloody Marys to me. They look like just like fire reds. Bloody Marys. So here's a stamps.com 20% off coupon. Bloody Marys. So, all right, wait. Let me stop. Fire Reds or Sakura. If this is a shell of a shrimp, this is the color. It's red. Dang it. I don't have a prop that's clear. Bloody Marys are clear shells. Their flesh is red. So when you have a painted, a Sakura, the body's red. Bloody Marys, they're translucent. All of its color is from its flesh. Well, I saw this picture. It was really crappy. It was a cell phone, and like it looked like they were moving a little bit, or maybe it was bad lighting. I looked at them like, those I don't think are Bloody Marys. But I didn't say that. But I mentioned it. I was like, are those Bloody Marys? Well, then they got into this thing with me about, well, everybody says what they think is a Bloody Mary. To me, like, not trying to be a smart butt, it's cut and dry. If it's clear and red, it's a Bloody Mary. If it's not clear and red, it's not a Bloody Mary. It's a variant of a red cherry shrimp. It's, like I said, it's a Sakura, it's a painted, fire painted, like all the crazy names that they have now. It's like saying that you're selling a pit bull, but it's a Dalmatian, right? And then, like, she was making, like you know, red-nosed pit bull or a blue pit, like, whatever. No, it's two different things. I was just saying it because, and I wasn't trying to, like, bust her butt about it. It's just, the problem is if the source is wrong, and this is for me, too. If the source is wrong, so she bought it because somebody told her it was Bloody Marys. Well, now she's bringing them and selling them as Bloody Marys. Well, down the line, it's like that chain reaction. You gotta fix it so it's not Bloody Marys. They're really nice Sakuras or whatever. But if you are selling them to 10 new hobbyists and they think they have Bloody Marys and they breed them, like I was just trying to educate. I was just trying to educate her, like, you know, if it's this. So that's why I was getting at with the Bloody Marys. But I don't want to sound like a jerk. But if you guys see somebody that doesn't know what they have, it could be some sort of species of cichlids or whatever. I don't feel bad to educate them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Is I want to know if I say something wrong, like, hey, I got this Bosemani rainbow fish, right? Correct me, it's not. It's a Parkinsoni. Because if I keep thinking this is Bosemani, then I'm not educated and I need to be educated. Don't go off crazy on them, but, you know, education is what this whole hobby is about. So, you know, try to help people out. But I did just see LRB went live. So, Jeffrey said I'm a sucker for gobies and gudgeons. So I saw on the fish list this week there's a lot of gobies in stock. And I did see some gudgeons. So I don't know. That might be something I've never had either. I might be tempted to get some the next time I order fish. But anyways, guys, I don't want to like take up too much of LRB's time. Thank you so much for watching this week. I appreciate it. Don't forget to check out that sale if you want to try to buy some sand or those natural pebbles. 15% off. The code is substrate. 614fish.com. Ends Sunday, 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Monday, I'll come up with a new sale on some other product. And maybe I'll try to make the sales get better and better as the month goes on. I don't know. But anyways, thanks, guys, for hanging out with me. And I'll see you next Friday. I'm trying to think. I do have a video. I haven't edited it yet of some video I took at OFR. It's going to be like literally a few minutes long. I took like a few 10-second clips. We'll edit it together and throw it out there just so you guys can see some fish. But I'll try to get that out this weekend or this week. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. I got nothing. Keep tanking along, stay fishy,